All right, joining us now with a look at the political landscape of Orange County, we welcome Orange County political reporter, Peggy Lowe. Glad to have you with us, Peggy.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, all right.
How are you tonight?
We're good.
Great.
We're good. Lots of news going on in Orange County on the political front.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, let's back up a couple stories ago and talk about Capo Unified possibly violating state meeting laws, so the report says. It's a pretty grievous crime right there.
It's a pretty big deal, and it seems like the bad news is never ending for this school district, right? You know, there's been this recall, there's been lawsuits, and now the DA really got tough on the Brown Act. That, of course, is usually used by journalists when we have to fight our way into a closed meeting. Of course, all public meetings, by law, have to be done in public. We get to hear what they're talking about. And in this instance, the district was talking about cost overruns for this nearly $40 million new building. So the public should have been there, should have been notified, should have been able to hear it.
Okay, so what separates, though, meetings that have to be public, discussions that have to be public, and meetings where the board can just get together and talk about various needs of the school and the district and that kind of thing? Is there ever a time when the two are separate?
There is one exception, essentially. Under the Brown Act, I think it's at least three of the elected officials are together, or the public officials are together, it must be public and it must be open. However, for instance, the Board of Soups gets away with this when they talk about legal issues. Recently, John Morlock's plan on the pension, they get to talk about that behind closed doors. I don't get to be there. No other reporters get to be there because they're talking about legal strategy, and that is protected under the Brown Act. So yeah, there is some examples.
Where's this headed from what you see?
I don't quite know yet. I mean, they keep saying that the door is open for a lawsuit, and that is certainly one of the things that could happen. Also, they're still trying to recall two members of this board, so it's still a very political thing. Parents are still very much involved. It's still going to be playing out legally and politically.
All right, we will wait and see. Wait and see attitude. All right, we teased the Nixon Library hosting a rather important guest, Carl Bernstein. Talk a little bit about what he's doing here.
I love this story because we just come out of it talking about Capo, which, they had the enemies list. The district had the enemies list, which were essentially parents.
Allegedly.
Here we're talking about Nixon, and he had his enemies list. This is, 6 degrees of separation for Orange County. But, of course, the Nixon Library just was taken under the National Archives back in July. I was there that day. They popped the champagne corks and opened the doors. And so at the time, the director said, we are going to have a whole new generation of openness. Everyone can come in and hear the tapes and see the documents and read and learn about Richard Nixon. In the past, that wasn't exactly allowed because when this was opened in 1990, the privately run foundation, which was essentially run by Richard Nixon himself, wouldn't allow Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward in. They, of course, broke Watergate. And Hugh Hewitt, who was executive director at that time, said, I'm not letting those guys in the door. So it's rather amazing that they're going to allow Bernstein in to speak, and I think it's October 22nd.
So he's just coming for lecture, Q&A, the whole bit. People can just delve into the mind of Carl.
Exactly. Plus, I think it's part of his book tour. He just wrote that book about Hillary, and, of course, she's running for president, so he's been selling that book everywhere.
Yeah, you want to get that in too. Okay, let's try and move on to one last topic before we let you go. Orange Bishop, as we've been reporting on this story, agreed to the sex abuse settlement. This doesn't bode all that well for the Catholic Church, but more importantly, in looking at some of the coverage that this story has gotten, I think as reporters we're all a little bit concerned that maybe not all of the information is being disseminated. There's various things that maybe haven't come out in the paper, or, we don't have time to report every single thing. We can't carry a camera around the entire time. Is it just more of, it's happened again and sort of glossing over the story?
I don't know if I would say glossing over. But certainly when there's a settlement, and there was a settlement last week, and it's a large settlement, something like $6.6 million, we don't get to hear everything.
Right.
And that can be for the good of the victims as well as the church. So certainly, we'll learn more probably in the coming days.
Yeah.
Also, you might want to go to our blog. There's an interesting group politically. It's the former head of the Democrats, John Hanna, and Matt Cunningham, who is the head of the Red County blog. They've started a group in support of Monsignor Urel. So that's kind of interesting, too.
Interesting. All right. Thank you so much, Peggy. Glad to see you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.